So let's talk about what happens when you don't have the best relationship with a deceased loved one or an ancestor, and you are kind of conflicted on whether they go on the altar or not. My name is Coco Alexa. I am a psychic medium, tarot reading queen, alignment architect, and a realtor. And this is such an excellent question. So, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this. So, this can go one or two ways, right? So, you have to really think about the person, right? You have to think about their journey, right? So sometimes, people go through things and it might not be that they didn't want to be there for you. Maybe circumstances happened and they just couldn't be, right? Or maybe they didn't have the capacity. Maybe they went through something. This is also why it's very important to do your research, ask questions, hear stories, right? And not just from the person, right? But also friends, family, siblings. You might have siblings who might have been older than you and might have a different perspective. You might gain some sort of empathy for your loved one and realize, you know what, you just needed to be healed. And as somebody who is a generational um uh cycle breaker, right? Like, you realize that sometimes the healing starts with you, and then you realize, oh, wait, this person also needed to be healed. And then that person needed to be healed. So there is a way for you to, what we call in hoodoo, is to elevate an ancestor, right? So there's an entire ritual for that. And I hope that, you can come to one of my classes so that you can learn how to do those rituals. It's important work. It's grief. It's grief work. It's grief work. It's grief work. It's grief work because it's so layered. So this is a part of altar work. You have to do the things. Hey guys, you have to do the things, and like I said, you have to do the research. You have to ask the questions, and sometimes you might not like the answers. Sometimes people don't like to be asked those questions. They don't want to talk about the past. They don't want to, be held accountable, but it's a part of healing. You don't want to carry that resentment. You don't want to carry that heaviness anymore. And at some point, you have to reconcile. And sometimes the best way to do that is when they are on the other side. So this is getting a little lengthy, so I'm gonna stop it right here. But I'm excited to have this conversation about ancestors, about altar work, about ancestral veneration, because now is the time.